Could Nebraska football finally be back for the first time in forever? It seems like Nebraska has a lot of hype going into this year from the national media. You got people putting them in their top 25s. You got some people saying how they could be a dark horse playoff contender. How some people say that they are a dark horse team to win the Big Ten. So I'm here to talk about how good is Nebraska? Because I'm not from the middle portion of the country, and I'm not going to act like I'm some Nebraska football historian. This is a Southern guy who has grown up in Florida, giving you his honest take on the Nebraska hype going into the 2024 college football season. And I definitely understand why the hype has been so high for Nebraska. You got Dylan Raiola coming in. He was the second best quarterback from last year's recruiting cycle behind DJ Lagway, who's at Florida. And he's the main reason for why there's been so much talk around the Cornhuskers going into this year, because this dude was putting on the damn clinic in the spring game. And I know it's just a spring game, but I'm going to keep it 100 with you. Dylan Raiola was making some NFL level throws in that spring game to me. He was throwing passes with nice touch and ball placement. He also was looking calm and composed. Even though he's a true freshman, he looked like a seasoned vet when we saw him in that spring game. Now, it's a difference when you're going up against your team versus when you're going up against other teams and people want to try to knock your head off your shoulders. But Dylan Raiola is going to be the key to determining how good Nebraska is going to go this year. Last year, their quarterback play was terrible, man. And I'm from the 904, Duval made, but it was really tough to see my dude Jeff Sims out there struggling the way that he was against Colorado. If Nebraska would have gotten some better QB play, they easily could have been a 7-8 win team potentially, because they got a good defense, which we're going to get into a little bit later. But with Dylan Raiola, if he comes in and he delivers a really good true freshman campaign for Nebraska, oh yeah, this team definitely can surprise a lot of folks who even think that they could be a 8-9 win team. They possibly could be a 10-win team if Dylan Raiola just comes in and lights the world on fire. You don't have a lot of talent at wide receiver, but you have a few guys who could pop off for Raiola. I love the two transfers they got, Jamal Banks and Isaiah Nayer. A lot of y'all forgot about Isaiah Nayer, but I didn't. He was a big-time get from Wyoming by Texas a few years back, but the reason why he fell off at Texas was because of injuries. He got injured during his first year there in fall camp, which was really disappointing. And when he came back last year fully healthy, we didn't really hear too much of his name being called, because when you're at a school like Texas, your misfortune can be another man's opportunity. Don't forget, when he was at Wyoming in 2021, he led the Mountain West Conference in yards per receptions with 19, nearly 20. And also led the conference in touchdown receptions with 12. This dude is a big-time playmaker. He's explosive, and he could be a really good deep threat if Dylan Raiola can get him the football. Jamel Banks, he was a 4-star rated wide receiver out of the portal. He was top 5 in the ACC in receptions last season. He also led Wake Forest in receiving yards. He was tied for the team lead and touchdown receptions as well. Although Nebraska's wide receivers on paper don't look like they're going to light the world on fire, they got 2 or 3 guys that are capable enough that can get the job done on offense for them. And of course, you know, it's not a Nebraska segment if we're not talking about how good this defense was. The second reason why people are buying a lot of stock in Nebraska is because this defense carried this team. This was like great value Brent Iowa last year. Every time you was watching Nebraska games, you were rooting for the defense to score more than you were rooting for the offense. You were like, come on, defense, get us a score, man. Put some points up on the board for us, because you know our offense ain't going to do it. This defense was top 10 in several categories last year. They were ninth in yards per game allowed, and they were seventh against the run. Now, this year, they're third in the Big Ten in returning production. They returned 78% of last year's production. They got an experienced defensive line that also has tons of depth there, and they got an experienced secondary. So if you having an experienced defense and the offense that, as long as Dylan Raiola can give you above average to good quarterback play, I could see Nebraska winning anywhere from 6 up to 9 games. My floor for Nebraska, if everything goes wrong and they don't end up living up to the hype, they're a 6-6 team. Dylan Raiola, he is a true freshman, so it is fair to expect some inconsistencies from week to week. He could have some good performances there and struggle in a couple of big games, but their ceiling, let's say Dylan Raiola comes in and he just absolutely kills it and he crushes it. I could see this being a 9-win team, and maybe depending on the games that they win and lose, maybe they sneak into the college football playoffs, because when you're playing in a conference as deep as what the Big Ten is, you're definitely going to have the opportunity to build up your resume. Nebraska, is the hype justified? I believe so.